Hi, Nathan Pierce here with Family Protection Ministries. I have a couple of events that I want to talk about here at the end, but we're going to talk a little bit about a principle of government and Christians living in it or under it. So let's go ahead and get into that. We're going to start with looking at Jeremiah 29:7. Welcome to the Front Line with FPM, where we talk about California politics, homeschool freedom, parental rights, and the family. I'm your host, Nathan Pierce, and thanks for joining us today. Let's jump right in and see what's going on here on the front line. All right, so let's look at Jeremiah 29, verse 7. It says, "But seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf, for in its welfare you will find your welfare." This passage is in the context of the people of Israel being sent into exile, and God is telling those people to, while they're in exile, they should be pursuing the good of the city that God has sent them to in exile. In other words, they've been sent as essentially subservient people out of their own land into a foreign land. They've been told, you must live here. They're not going there by choice, but they are stuck here under this foreign government, a government that they don't agree with, that doesn't agree with their values, that doesn't agree with their ideas of worship and God. And it's a situation where they are nevertheless stuck there under this system of government. And God is telling them, yes, even though this is the case, you are to seek the good of that city. Wherever it is that you have landed in this foreign country, you are to seek the good of that city. Then he clarifies, for in its welfare you will find your welfare. So this is sort of helping people to see the big picture there. God's calling the people of Israel to not just do it because I said, but he's telling them, giving them this hope that in seeking that welfare, in that good welfare that you are seeking for that city, you will find your own welfare. And I think we have principles here that we can apply to ourselves in the situation where we live. We might live under a government that we disagree with. We may have a lot of disagreements with governments, even whether it's federal government, state government, city, county governments. We might have disagreements with our elected officials. However, we are still Christians living in that society, and we're to love our neighbors. We're to seek the good of wherever God has put us. And sometimes that means that we have to do a lot of uncomfortable things. Loving our neighbor isn't always easy to do. We know this, whether we're talking about our neighbor in our own house or our neighbor across the street or somebody else that we have a relationship or come in contact with. So we need to pursue the good of those around us and the communities that we live in. And we should remind ourselves that it is in seeking that good of those around us that we'll also seek and find our own welfare. So when we think about government, when I think about the California state government and how we may disagree with a lot of things that the California state government does, a lot of things that many of the legislators stand for, our governor stands for, we may have a lot of differing views. We may have fundamental disagreements over values. But ultimately, we live together, and we do have, as citizens of California, as American citizens and as citizens living in California, we have a voice, a legitimate voice. I would say it's even stronger than that. We are the government. We are what makes up the government. We are a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And that's something that we need to remind ourselves, because it's not they, the government. That's not the only part of the government, because we are part of the government. And as we remember that we're part of that government and we have a voice in it, and we remember that we have an obligation as our being that part of the government that has a voice, has a way to influence the policies that our government has, we can actually come to a point where we realize, I don't get a free pass to not participate. And I think that's an important thing, an important point for us to come to, because we do have an obligation. God has given us that opportunity, that voice, that ability to have an impact. He's given us a say. And I'm not just talking about elections. I'm talking about having a voice in what policies are made in Sacramento by voicing our opinions and letting our legislators know, our elected representatives, those that represent us or try to represent us, or maybe they don't try necessarily, but they say they represent us. But if we are silent about things, they are representing our silence. And they're saying, you don't care. Because if we don't say anything, they don't know that we care. And so we need to remember that we have an obligation, a responsibility to speak up, to influence the society for good, to the glory of God. And I think that's important for us to remember. We do have some things sometimes where we don't know what exactly we ought to do to make that difference. And incidentally, we do have some events coming up in California here that will be training for what to do when you're looking at a government that you disagree with, but you're not sure how to engage with them, what to do, what to say, how to say it, what actions that you can take. And so I'll just mention that. These events are on our website. First one coming up is July 12th at the Reagan Library down in Simi Valley. And I hope that if you're not already signed up for this event, you'll check it out on our website. It's called Hold the Line at Reagan Library. And I would encourage you to check that out. And that's an event coming up on July the 12th. It's a short event where we are going to be talking about advocacy, things that you can do to make a difference, and what the threats are currently for homeschooling and parental rights in California. But also, it's a short event, and it does tickets to our event do get you in to see the Reagan Library and the special Dead Sea Scrolls exhibit that is currently there. And so I would encourage you to check that out because it's an amazing opportunity to really learn about advocacy, but also to be inspired by the history there at the museum. So next after that is August 23rd down in San Diego. In La Mesa, we will be having our Homeschool Freedom Day. And we're working on that event together with Chia. Chia is also hosting a leadership conference the day before in La Mesa as well, August 22nd. So we'd love to see you there, this event. We have attorney Darren Jones coming from HSLDA to speak at Homeschool Freedom Day on August 23rd, as well as myself. We also have some other speakers that will be coming, and we have a great lineup of topics that we'll be covering, some helpful how-tos as well as inspirational and historical explanations of how we got the freedom that we do have and what we need to do to keep it. We'll also have Christy Clover coming and talking about some things that will help keep our minds right in terms of why we do this thing. Why do we engage in advocacy, and why is it important? And how we as families can participate. So thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for joining us for this episode of The Front Line with FPM. For more information about the topics we discuss here, check out Family Protection Ministries at fpmca.org and subscribe to our channel.